Let's unpack trust relationship of Microsoft Entra ID tenant with subscriptions. All Azure subscriptions have a trust relationship with a Microsoft Entra tenant. This means that subscriptions depend on Entra tenant to handle authentication and authorization for users, security principles, and devices. Let's understand some of the key points that you should know when you deal with Entra tenant and subscriptions. In the real world, there will be some use cases popping up because either you are consolidating the tenants or there is a need for you to move subscriptions from one tenant to another. So let's dive in. An Azure subscription can only trust one Entra ID at a time. However, a single Entra tenant can be trusted by multiple subscriptions as shown on the screen. If a subscription expires, the trust with the Microsoft Entra tenant remains. However, users and security principals will lose access to Azure resources because their roles and permissions tied to that subscriptions are invalidated. When a user signs up for a Microsoft Cloud service, a new Entra tenant is created and the user is made a global administrator. However, when an owner of a subscription joins their subscription to an existing tenant, the owner isn't assigned to the global administrator role. While users may only have a single authentication home directory, users may participate as guests in multiple directories. You can see both the home and guest directories for each user in Entra ID. When a subscription is associated with a different directory, users who have roles assigned using Azure role-based access control lose their access. Moving your Azure Kubernetes service cluster to a different subscription or moving the cluster owning subscription to a new tenant causes the cluster to lose functionality due to lost role assignments and service principal rights. In summary, the trust relationship between Azure subscription and Entra directories is important for managing access and security. Understanding this relationship will help in managing user roles, permissions, and the impact of directory changes on your Azure resources and services.